All right. We are officially live. So, hello, and welcome back to Satisfactory, where we are working on our supercomputer factory. So last time, we probably, and I say probably because you can never be 100% certain, finished the fluids section of the supercomputer factory. Now let's just drop down and give it a quick scan. And do we see any yellow lights anywhere? It all looks green to me, so yes. Probably have finished the fluid section of the factory, and we can move on to dealing with solids, which are much easier and more convenient. So, here we are. What I need to do is remember what exactly we're using all this stuff for. So, we need to make 4029.5 quick wire, which I assume we're going to be using fused quick wire because we have copper. So let's see if that's right. So that's 335.8 deuterium ingots and 1,679 copper ingots. And yes, that is exactly how many of those things that we have. Right, so let's just get started without them. So we're going to need some space, and we're going to need a blueprint because I'm not doing all of this manually. So let's make some room. Actually, we have this blueprint generator area over here. Alright, so we have this. Now, we put in assemblers, and I don't know how many we're going to need / be able to fit, or how many we even want to, if there's a way to do this load balancing. So this is going to be fused wire. So it's 12 and 3. So, hang on. We make 90 per batch. Oh, but this is wire. This isn't even the right one. We need to be making fused quick wire. So it's 7.5 and 37.5. We make 90 per batch. Now, if we go 30 over 37.5. Oh, hang on. 30 over 37.5 times 100. At 80%, this uses 30 copper ingots and 6 deuterium ingots. 6 deuterium ingots is kind of obnoxious because it would be like a 1 to 10 system. Obviously the 30 copper ingots are fine because we can just combine 2 of those up to make a single Mark 1 belt. But this is no good. So let's go with 20 over 37.5 times 100. So that's 20 and 4, which... yeah, I don't think there's going to be any way of fixing this because the deuterium is always going to be 1/5 of the copper. Okay, wait, we could do something crazy, maybe? If we sushi belt this... hold on, let's get this back up to So if we get... oh, that's a terrible idea. But if we get 36 on a belt... We need to come up with some way where these two add up to a convenient number. No, that's just not going to work, though. Alright, so I guess we're just going to have to do it either this way or this way. So does 37.5 go into any convenient belt speed at all? 37.5 times 2 is 75. 112.5, 150, 187, 225, 262 times 8 is 300. Is that anything? Well, no, it's 30 more than 270, which doesn't really work. Obviously 9 is nothing. 10 isn't anything. 12 is 450. Is it? Does it just go into 780? 37.5 is 20.8. Alright, so the answer is basically no, that doesn't work out nicely for anything ever. 7.5 is going to be in a similar boat, I imagine. Divided by 7.5 is 104. 480 divided by 7.5 is 64. Alright, so we can do that pretty conveniently off of Mark IV belts. I mean, it's still kind of a nightmare, but... oh, wait, we don't even need that much Caterium anyway, because we only need 335 Caterium ingots. Right, so I think... so if we do... no, it was, what, 72. So if we do this, then that's 30 and 6. Alright, no, that doesn't make any sense either. Actually, how many machines do we need? We need 4029.5. 0.5 divided by 90 would be 44 full machines. Now, can we find some place where it works out nicely? So if we wanted to do 45 machines, each one would be 89.544, which we could definitely do, although... no, that should be fine, right? The copper would then just need to be split into 45, which wouldn't be... let's see, how many copper belts do we have? We have 3, right? Over here, yeah. So we have 3 copper belts. So that would be splitting each of the 3 copper belts into 15 once we have these belts balanced amongst each other, which we also need to do. So that would work. So if we have that divided by 45, then it's 5 times 9. So the final batch would be 3. So we can't do the whole thing of splitting, but we can get the last little bit in. And actually, let's... this might be a mistake, but what we can do is build the logistics floor into the factory so that we don't have to do nearly as much work. This way we can set up both of the final inputs in the blueprint, as opposed to having to do at least one of them outside of the blueprint. Also, we apparently need to bring power over here so that we can hover better. There we go. Alright, so we get in our assemblers. And they can go 1, 2, and 3. Although this isn't compact at all. Can I get these to use up like an even number of foundations? No, there's going to be that half a foundation there. I guess that's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So we do want to get rid of this row so that we don't waste as much space. And also get rid of that wall. Alright, so now we have this. So we get floor holes in here. And then these go in here. And then these are set to 89.544. Oh, and I have to also give them the recipes. Fused quick wire, 89.54 repeating. It's very, very normal amount. So that we paste that across. And hello, I was clicking the hotkey for the power line, and nothing is happening. Okay, that's interesting. Can I just place it manually? Yeah, okay, so we can do that. And then that seems to have fixed whatever was happening there. So this is going to need to be a Mark II power line. And we connect all of those guys up. And then do we want to have all of this floor holed down into the logistics floor? I think probably not. I think it'll be easier to have them on separate floors. So then we get this in. And, okay, we're going to have to move this power line immediately. So you can go in there. And then all of those guys connect up. And then we come down here and set up this. So you get those lifts, and then you get your splitter. What? Alright, the splitter is facing the wrong way. Classic problem. There we go. Now it's incorrectly. Alright, and then we just need to merge up the outputs, which isn't going to be quite as simple as this because it's dramatically more than a single belt, but each of these groups, these actually need to be Mark IIs because they're almost 90. So then we have this, which goes along and out a little bit on both sides so that it can auto snap together to the extent that we want it to do that. Alright, and let's just confirm. 89.54 times 45 is 4,029.5. Alright. So this is our blueprint. It's not exactly what I would call perfect, but it's pretty good. There's a little bit of space, but it should be fine. So this is fused quick wire. And we're not going to give it a description, and we're just never going to use it again other than this one spot because it's such a specific number. Alright, so now the next thing we need to do is we need to balance out the copper belts. We have 3 copper belts, but we don't know that they're all the correct speed. So what I want to do is make these all even, so they'll all have exactly 1/3. Which, let's see if I can get that done conveniently. And let's take these signs out because they're no longer going to be needed. Alright, so we have these, which not going to be enough space. Alright, so we're going to have you sort of branch off over that way. And you can also sort of branch off over that way. And then you all go in. And now we all get 3 belts out. Like this. And there we go. So now this is 3 to 9. Okay, this last one isn't getting anything. Oh, okay. I somehow just must have dismantled that at some point accidentally. Not sure how that happened, but whatever. It's fine now. Alright, so each of these gets that. Now we just need to get mergers in. And fortunately, this is relatively simple setup. So, we need 3 mergers, which are each going to receive 1 belt from each. So you're going to go in there. You're going to go in there. And you are going to go in there. Alright, so that's 1. Then this one, we're going to need to gain some vertical space and move you back a little bit so that it all fits. And apparently you need to go even further back. So you can go in there. Then this one can go up and over, and just planning ahead a little bit, we want this to have a way out. So we can do that. And then this one can just go directly across. So now this one can come over this way. And then make it over here. Where it can go down there. This one is going to need to get up real sharp and then come down, and then that one goes in, and boom. It looks horrendous, but it is a 3-to-3 balancer, so we have that going for us. Alright. So now that we have that, we just have to start building our setup. So, what we need is more space out this way, at least. And so all these go along like that. And now we get this, which we need to align like that. And we actually need more space for the 1 to 5s here. And then they'll just go directly into this, and it'll be done. Alright, so let's push this back another row or two. So like that. And we also want to go over this way to use up as much of that space as possible. So now we can start getting these in. So we hold that there, and we can align it like that. And is that all good? It's going to be lined up to the world grid and everything. Yes. So you can go in. And then we can just place a whole bunch of you. And auto-connect purely for the output belts. And alright, that is 5 of these, so 15 machines total. And we could make that 1 row. So if we have 3 rows of this, then we will have all of that done. Alright, so yeah, got plenty of space for that. So, God, this is such a mess. So what we need is a 1 to 5 balancer here, which I don't even know if this design is fast enough to do that, because this design does have belt speed limitations. Let's actually see. 1,679 divided by 3 is 559.6. So if we divide that again by 6, we get 93. And 559 plus 93 isn't going to be 780, so it should be okay. Alright, it should be fine. So we just need to make all of these Mark 5 belts. Like that. And you are closest, so in you go. And then we just take these belts over and feed them in. 1, 2, that needs to be upgraded still. 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so that is copper into the first row. And then we need to get the Caterium split into 3 and then into 5. But the Caterium is going to be going up on the next floor, which is up here. So across you go. And this gets up to there. Alright, so Caterium is up on this floor. And we just need to expand out so that there's space up here. Alright, so this goes like that. And first, we can just split it normally into 1, 2, and 3. And then get a 1 to 5 balancer. Like that, probably. I don't know exactly where it needs to be. Which goes in. And this is actually only going to be like 100 and some. So we are gonna have to upgrade these internal belts, but we aren't gonna have to upgrade the output belts. These can remain as Mark 1s. And so you all get connected up. And you are gonna have to come out a bit more directly. Alright, then this comes over here and in. And this comes over here and in. Alright. So that is that. 1/3 of our fused wire production done. Now we just need to take these other 2 belts of copper and Caterium past this row and into a second row, which we're going to need a lot more space for. So let's get all this sorted out. And that one, and this one. And we do have a lot of space to go, so we're not exactly cramped, but I do want to be a bit compact before we start overhanging the tracks there. Alright. So the question now is, can we fit this in, like, immediately here? So we set this row up, and so the obvious problem here is that the Caterium is going to have to go somewhere. And where is that somewhere going to be? Yeah, so this isn't going to work. We are going to need to leave some space, at least, between the blueprints. So if we push it all the way back to here, pop that in, then we need to fill in all that. And this. Alright, so these foundations are going to go all the way out this way. And now we just need to see if this is enough space. It should be plenty on the copper side, because we have all this extra space. The deuterium side might be a little bit sketch, but we're going to have to find out. Alright, so what we need is the 1 to 5 balancer to be pointing this way. And yeah, that's going to fit. That's definitely going to fit. Alright, so then this can go in like there somewhere. And let's make all the internal belts nice and fast. And someday I should really just design one of these which isn't extra limited, but someday is not today. Alright, and we ended up taking the most convenient deuterium belt for this, which is nice. So these can go over this way, and they just need to go around. Like so. And then they go there and in. Alright, so that is deuterium attached. Then we come down here for the copper, and we got plenty of space to just do a balancer in there. So let's get the rest of these. So we have one there. Blueprint auto connect. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so that is all in, and we just need to finish off this foundation inside. Like this, and like this. Okay, now we have to take our belts along. So that goes there, and then we just have to take these two. And let's bring them both at once for convenience's sake. And off we go. Alright. Deuterium, check. Next, we need to go down and bring the copper. So, we first get a balancer in default mode. And you can go, I don't know, somewhere like here will be fine. And then we're going to need to make all of these fast belts, because I don't know how fast this is going to be. I don't want to bother doing the math to check. Alright, so then this comes all the way over here, doesn't quite reach, goes in at the last minute. Then this comes around into there. This goes basically straight forwards into that. And we go there. And there. So now we just need to connect this up, which we can, let's see here, also go around the edge, I guess, would make the most sense. You could skip up over the belts in there, but I think that would end up being quite cluttered and gross looking. Not that this is the most gorgeous factory I've ever designed, but you know, it would be nice to have things visually look to be separate as opposed to random unconnected belts crossing over each other. Alright, so then this is going, and it's going. Cool. So, one more. One more row, and we can just do it the same way. It's good to see the Deuterium splitting has caught up to the rest of them. So it's, what, 2 extra? Yeah, I think it's 2 extra lines. And then we're going to need a whole lot of foundation as well. So we go there, and we get this in. So that's what it would be naturally. Then we push it back to there to leave enough space. And this almost goes out over the edge of the factory, but it doesn't, which is all that counts. So let's bring power up in this corner so that we don't fall and die while doing this, which otherwise would absolutely happen. So this needs at least one more row. Like that. And then this row has to go all the way out over here. So off we go. Just filling in all these foundations. Alright, so now we just put the rest of these blueprints in. And blueprint auto-connect mode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so those are all in. Now we expand these rows out, and we get our 1 to 5 balancer. Go somewhere like that. And then this belt goes into there. And we just continue connecting them all across. It's going to take the Deuterium a pretty significant amount of time. Also, we are somehow short on iron plates. How is that even possible? It's iron plates, of all things. Alright, whatever. We can do other stuff in the meantime that doesn't require iron plates, and hopefully let those refill a bit. So we just make our way back over here to grab our last Deuterium belt. Alright, around we go. And over this way. So these just follow the belt along. And there they go. Alright, so hopefully we have enough iron plates. How have we run out of these? They must not be producing fast enough. Alright, so that is all connected in. Very cool. So now let's start powering them up. So we're going to connect them all across with each other first. And then turn them all on simultaneously. Oh, we need to deal with the output next. So I don't think that our current dividing it into 3 is enough, because there is going to be a lot of quick wire here. Alright, so those are all connected in with each other, and they should be able to all be turned on simultaneously. So before we do that, this is 89 times 15. 89 times 15 is 1,335. So we need to split that off. So 89 times 9 is also too much, but just barely. So we need to basically just cut that off in the middle of the belt. And then these two come down, and they're both then going to be mostly done. Actually, we're going to organize this into full belts and not full belts. Yeah, let's do that. So we get a smart splitter here, which goes like that and like that, and then center any right, not adaptive control unit, right overflow. So, wait, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. Yeah, doing that here is dumb and not going to work. What we need to do is just have them sorted out over here after everything else. So here, you get a smart splitter, you get a priority merger. Priority merger is medium priority from that. And you are any and overflow. And then you all merge up. So this will be a belt of 780. This will be a belt of whatever is left. And so those can both go forwards. Alright, then we're going to have to do basically the same thing here. Although, I wonder if we... No, yeah, we're just going to do the same thing in each spot. And then deal with the rest of them later. So you get dismantled. And you get to be your own belt. So this comes forwards. And we get priority merger, smart splitter. And they all get connected up. And then this is center priority. This is left any center overflow. Alright, just one more of those, and then we're going to put in the 6 sinks that we need for this. Which is a lot of sinks, but not an unbearable amount. Alright, so then that comes out. This goes forwards. And then we have to set up the merging again. Priority merger there. Smart splitter there. Then we connect all the belts up. This is priority center. This is left any center overflow. Alright, and now for sync time. So we need 2 sinks per row, which is going to be a lot of space. So there we go. And there we go. So then we come over here and set up a similar amount of space. And 1 sink, 2 sinks. Like that. And then one more. And, oh, there we go. 2 sinks. Alright, so now we have to power on the sinks, which we can just connect up to there, and then connect the rest of these guys up, and connect you up. Alright, so that should be that. Now we just need to connect this whole thing up to a power pole somewhere, and we're gonna get more quick wire than we could ever use. Except not more quick wire than we could ever use. We get exactly as much quick wire as we need for this current project. Alright, so that power line goes down there and connects into that. So now it's attached up. Let me get out from underneath that. And let's see here. Oh, I forgot to attach the copper into the back row. Whoops. Alright, that will be nice and quick. Can you not do that? Just... oh, I clicked on the wrong one there. Alright, so we get you. You go in here-ish. And then we upgrade you to be able to hold a large amount of copper. And again, Mark V probably not necessary for this, but it's also not exactly expensive. So now we just have to connect all these belts up. And there we go. And there. And then we just need to grab the last remaining belt of copper and attach it in. So that's going to be you. And off you go around this way. And then we curve in here. Alright, so that should be that attached up. And we have the copper showing up here. Very cool. So it'll take a while for this to get all warmed up and started like the others, but it should happen pretty soon. Alright, 3, 4, 5, and we're running, and should be 100%. Alright, so this is all going. At a glance, it looks correct, except for this one, which is still broken for some reason. Oh, I see. You just went past it instead of snapping in properly. Alright, and that's quick wire. That is quick wire. And hopefully should be good to go with that. It's pretty simple. So, the next step is the cable, I believe. Actually, can I just, like, start from the top and remember where all this is going? So we're doing this, making computers, AI limiters. So I would assume some of this quick wire is going to the AI limiters. And then the rest is going to high-speed connectors, probably. Alright, yeah. I assume that's what's going on. So, we need 1,162.5 cable. And that is going to be used the quickwire cable recipe, which is quickwire and rubber. So 11.625 of this is 317 quickwire and 211 rubber. Alright, well, that's going to be fun. Because we're going to have to figure out how to get those numbers exactly. Yeah, that's gonna... Is that right? Is that right? So what is this? 11.625, and we would be multiplying this by 100. So yeah, 317 quickwire, 211 rubber. Which is pretty good as far as efficiency goes. I guess it's 3 and 2 to 11, which is pretty neat. So it's a good thing we're not having to use all of this for that, because that would create so much cable. Alright. So, let's see, is there anything else we're using Caterium for? That's a good question. And also, why is this one jammed up, whereas the other ones aren't? What's gone wrong with you? Oh, I see. You need these internals to be upgraded. So that you can output faster, I guess. I don't even know if that's necessary, but it's definitely happening. Alright. And now that has stabilized again. Alright, so that has significant buffers of both. This one has significant buffers of both. And is this one also doing well? Yes, not quite as many, but still doing pretty good. I assume this one will have lots of Caterium in it. Yeah, because it was the last one to get the copper fixed. Alright. So that is all that in. And it should be all stable now. We're still waiting for this extra chunk to disperse down the belts, but that'll happen eventually. No big rush. Alright, so is cable what we want to do next? I think so, because we have the quick wire here. So we take just like part of one of these belts, and go left any center overflow, and we need to take that out this way, and then we also need to take part of one of the rubber belts, which we're going to need to organize, but I think we just organized the rubber belt by filling up 2 full belts, and then... Alright, so let's... Actually, no, we're going to do this on the next floor up, so we might as well do all of it then. Alright, so that goes up. Then we get a wall, which will go up. Looks like 3 is going to be the minimum needed to get over the machines. Now we take this over and over that way. So now we just put some floor holes in. All right. So it would be nice if we could do everything we needed to do with rubber on this one floor. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be practical, because I think there are other things much later in the production line that we're going to need to use the rubber for. But we will see. Alright, so then this goes up. And we have our 3 belts of rubber. And again, we only need part of 1 belt for the cable production, because of how efficient it is. So, let's go that, that, that. And yeah, this is a floor above all that. It's a bit illusion-y. It looks like it's on the same floor, and those are just very small, but they definitely aren't. Alright, so we need, first of all, first we merge the rightmost one into this one, and then we merge the middle one into this one. So now let's get all these belts in and then put in the settings. So these are priority medium from the center. And then these are left any center overflow, and pasted like that. So now this is a full belt, this is a full belt, and this is going to be a partial belt. And how much rubber is it? 1636.4. 1636.4 minus 780 times 2 is 76.4 left on this last remaining belt, which is a little bit sad, but it can manage, and it can merge up at the end. Alright, so now the cable production time. So we need to, first of all, I think we're going to do it in sort of this corner, if possible. Although I don't know how many machines we need, it might be a ton. It's not going to be many resources, but it might be a lot of machines. So, cable. 1162.5. 11.625. So that is 317 quick wire and 211.4 rubber. So where are my signs? 317 quick wire, 211.4 rubber. And let's call that cable for the icon, just so that it's correct. Alright. So, now we get to do the fun part of figuring out how exactly to do that. So, is there other things that we can push the problem off to? So, computers also require probably quick wire and rubber, although I don't know if that's the recipe we're doing. AI limiters require plastic and quick wire. Gosh, I really wish I'd written down what recipes we used for all of these. High-speed connectors also require quick wire. And then there's plastic, which we don't need to worry about. So the circuit board recipe we're using is definitely the petroleum coke and rubber one. But that still leaves... This recipe is potentially using quick wire, but maybe not. This one definitely is going to be plastic AI limiters. And this one is definitely using quick wire as well. So, 56.25 high-speed connectors. 5.625 is 315 quick wire. So let's get that marked down. 315 quick wire and some other stuff, but I'm only concerned about the quick wire now. And we're going to label that as high-speed connectors. Alright, so that's U, and AI limiters, 37.5 of them, is... well, okay, we're not doing copper sheets, I don't think, because we're using all of our copper for the wire, so we're doing this. So, U would be 562.5 quick wire. And please place the sign. 562.5 quick wire for AI limiters. And we need to figure out how all of this adds up to 4,000 quick wire. So, computers are either doing Caterium computers or regular computers. Let's see if we can figure that out. We need 75 of them. So this would be 300 circuit boards, 600 cable, 1,200 plastic. Okay, it's gotta be Caterium, right? Because... Wait, no, the 1,200 plastic is probably correct, because we have a lot of plastic unaccounted for. Alright, but this doesn't use any quick wire, which, not directly, which means it's gotta be this, right? So if we set that, that would be 1,050 quick wire for the Caterium computers. $1,050 quick wire question mark for Caterium. No, I typed in Caterium. I meant to type in computers. Alright, so this adds up to 1,050 plus 562.5 plus 315 plus 317 is 2,244 quick wires. So, wherever the primary quick wire consumer is, I haven't even found it. Have I just done all the math wrong? Okay, AI limiters we've already calculated. High-speed connectors we have already calculated, and plastic. So that has cable in it and circuit boards. Am I using some weird circuit board recipe? No, because I definitely made petroleum coke. I definitely made a huge amount of petroleum coke for this. So it's not deuterium circuit boards. I really hope that I haven't just done this completely wrong. Like, if I've just completely done all the math wrong and the numbers aren't anywhere close to correct, I really don't want that to be the case. Because it's going to be a massive pain to fix if that is what happened. Alright. Computers. I have deuterium directly in them, under the deuterium computer recipe. AI limiters have deuterium in them under the plastic AI limiter recipe. Oh, is this what I... No, I have all three of those quickwire accounted for. Oh gosh. Okay. So then, if we've done all of that, and then obviously plastic doesn't have any quickwire in it, so then it's the cables. Have I calculated the cables wrong? Alright, let's find the cables. So, 1162.5 cables using quickwire cable. 11.625. Then we would move the decimal point to the right 2 and get 317 quickwire and 211 rubber. Alright. I might have gone insane. Am I just stupid? Alright, we need to check. Did I do these notes just over there? I need to go back and see what I did, where I got those numbers from. Because either I'm missing something now, in which case I'm about to make a mistake, or I've missed something then, and I've already made a mistake, which either one of those I need to fix. So hopefully I did the notes back by the hub as I usually do. Alright. Here we are. 1062.5 cables is 317 quickwire. Circuit boards are rubber and petroleum. Computers are circuit boards, cable, and plastic. Okay, wait, so we're not doing the deuterium computer alt recipe. That's fine, I guess. I don't know why not, but okay, sure. AI limiters are 562. High-speed connectors, 3,150 quickwire. Is that correct? That seems wrong. So we need 5.625 times 10 is 3,150. Alright, we figured it out. Our notes were correct. I just failed to multiply by 10 here when I was figuring that out. Alright, cool. So that is all good. And now we can just return to that factory, which fortunately is extraordinarily close. So we can just hop on over here, and I see a whole lot of green lights down there. That's good. And we're within range of the power grid of this factory, so we can just hover back up. Alright. So the reason I was doing all this math wasn't even to check that the calculations were right, it was try to figure out how to split it. So yes, this is 3,150. Now that is a nice round number, divisible by 10. We should be able to get that pretty straightforwards. I don't know. It should be able to deal with that. So then we have to worry about the rest of these. And this isn't 1050 quick wire. We're not directly using quick wire in that. So 3,150 plus 562.5 plus 317 is 4,029.5, which is the correct number. Alright. So we just have these three things that have quick wire going into them. And we need to figure out how to divide off any two of these three, and then we can just overflow into the remaining. So this one should be relatively straightforward, right? It's 3,150. I don't know how to get that, but it shouldn't be hard. Like 3,150 divided by 780 is 4.03. Minus 780 times 4, yes, is 30. So that is 4 full belts and then an additional 30, which we can get that very easily, as expected. So now it's just either of these remaining two, 317 or 562.5. 317 is 480 minus 317 is 163. Okay, don't know what to do with that. 317 minus 270 is 47. So if we could figure out how to get 47, then we could add that to a Mark III belt and get that. So, how do we get 47? Well, 47, we can also just take 30 off of that and have 17 left, because 30 is half of a Mark I belt, which is easy. 17, does this go into any normal-looking number? 119, so close, and yet so far. Alright, times 10 is 170, which is Mark II plus 5/6 of a Mark I. But that's sort of horrific. I don't like that. Let's just try... Is this divisible by anything? Evenly. Alright. No. Well, let's start working on other... I mean, the 17 is going to be the issue, right? So we need to figure out how to get that away from a 17 into something nicer. So how do we get 17? So 17 is 13 away from 30. That's not helpful. Yeah, I think this might just be extraordinarily difficult to do. Let's see if I can come up with something for 562.5. 562.5 divided by 2, divided by 3, Alright, well, that's always going to have a decimal, so what if we multiply it by 2? Okay, but that's... Alright, let's start with 400, subtracting 480 from it. So we have 82.5 left over. Okay, I think there's something here. So, we can then subtract 60 again to get 22.5. And 22.5... 2.5 times 2 is 45, which is 3/4 of a Mark I belt. So, basically, let's get this sign here. So this is 480, which is a belt speed, plus 60, which is a belt speed, gets us to 540. And then plus 22.5. And let's just mark this down. It's 562.5 equals that. And then 22.5 equals 45 divided by 2. Which... And 45 equals 60 times 3 over 4. Alright, so we've cracked that one. This one is easy. So what we have to do here for this is we get a Mark IV belt, we get a Mark I belt, we get another Mark I belt, we split it into 4, take three of those 4, merge them together, split that into 2, and that's 22.5. And then we take the additional and just like loop it back to somewhere else. So that means that this 317 can just be overflowed. You don't have to worry about it at all. And what I mean by overflowed is we just set it to overflow and then the other two to priority, and it'll just work. So that is the quick wire set. Now the rubber. That's 211.4 rubber. So where else is rubber used? So we have, I believe, no, because we're using the default computer recipe. So there's no rubber in that. We're using plastic AI limiter, no rubber there. High-speed connectors, no rubber there. So it's all going to be in the circuit boards, I would assume. I clicked on the wrong thing. So, circuit boards. Our electrode circuit boards. And we need... how many of those? 356.25. So, 3.5625 is 1,425 rubber, 2,850 petroleum coke. So 1,425 rubber. So not a portrait sign. Just get you out there. 1,425 rubber for circuit boards. And then an additional 211.4 for the cables. And that adds up to 1,636.4 rubber, which is the correct amount. So we just have to split the rubber into these two pieces. And 1,425 has got to be easy, right? It's a big, clean number. It's divisible by 5. So let's see here. 1,425 minus 780 is 645. That's not very good. Minus 480 times 2. Okay, so this is promising. We go 3 belts of 480. Take 15 off of one of them. And then that's good. Alright, yeah, so let's mark that down. Equals 3 times 480 minus 15. And that should be enough for me to just instantly know how to do that when I look at it. And that means that the cable can be entirely overflown. Alright, so that is very, very convenient. So, what we need then is to just... Well, we need to actually make this. Now that we know there's not going to be any fancy load balancing here, we just have to make the actual production line, which, you know, hopefully won't be too terribly awful. So this is going to be also in assemblers and quick wire cables, 27.25 each. 1162.5 divided by 27 point... What was it, 27.25? It's going to be somewhere in the 42 range. 27.5. So we have 42 and a little bit. So this can also be 45. That's funny that that number works out to be exactly the same as the other one. So then that would be divided by 45 would be 25.833, which is less than 27.5, so that'll work. And we're going to need to just make that into a blueprint, which we can just load up the fused quickwire blueprint and just change the settings, because it is like exactly the same otherwise. So this is quickwire cable. Copy, paste, paste. I forgot to set the numbers. 25.83 repeating. And we paste that across. And see, all of the numbers going into these are slow, so that should be just fine. And this is going to be saved as quick wire cable. Save that, clear it, and up we go. Oh, we should stock up on iron plates, because apparently we need to do that. Alright, now we just have to make this, which should be straightforward. So we have to fill out this whole area and not have this weird hole in the middle. So all of those go in, and let's just get this all nice and lined up. Like that. And okay, we don't need that assembler. So now we just go and we start placing these. So we need to leave a little bit of space for the 1 to 5s and the 1 to 3s in the beginning. So let's see, is that going to be enough? That's like 3 whole rows. Yeah, that should be plenty. And then I guess we can have these lined up over here to be aligned with these rows, although they're not going to be directly on top of them. Alright, yeah, let's start placing these guys in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright. So that is row 1. And now we need to get these in. So we take... Okay, so that's center overflow. This is center overflow. Okay, so this is going to be a full belt of 780. This is, I remember, like some tiny number like 75 or something, and that's a full belt of 780. So, what we need to do is just take this a little bit forwards and go center overflow left any. Or no, actually, do we want to go right any and then merge up with that at the end? Yeah, I think we want to do that. So then this will be our supply of rubber for this, which means it has to get split again. Okay, then we merge these two up and deal with them later. And now we get our 1 to 5 balancer. Which is going to go there-ish. And we just bring this belt over. And these are all low capacity, right? Yeah, 7 there. Which means that each of these... Actually, we have our notes here. So this is 317 quick wire, 211 rubber. So 211 rubber divided by 3 is 70. So this does need to be like Mark 3s in here, just to make sure we aren't limited by Mark 1s. And then obviously everything past that can be Mark 1s, no problem. So you come back over here and into that. You come over here and into that. That's number 3. That's number 4. And that is number 5. Alright. So round 1 of rubber is attached in. And we just need to do the same for quick wire. And that's also just going to involve getting a belt of quick wire up here, which I haven't actually quite done yet. So we have this here. We just need to bring it over this way somewhere, and then up. Ooh, power supply here is spooky. We are currently registering as basically nothing on the hover pack. Let's get the floor hole in, bring that down, and that goes. Alright, now we need to get this up the rest of the way. So one more floor. And up there. Now we want this to point over this way, I guess. And then we can fill all this in. Actually, we can have this just... No, we do want this to point this way because we have the 1 to 3 splitting to do still. So you do that. And then we get this, which will just point this way. And you go there. And we're going to upgrade the interior because you gotta. And then all of these get their belts. Alright, then the rest of this comes forward. Like so. And that goes in there. And that goes in there. Alright, so batch 1 of cable is now being produced. So now we just have to get in batches 2 and 3, which we do something like this, and actually we need this to expand out a long way as well. Oh, actually, this top one isn't supposed to exist because it's going to get built by the blueprints themselves. So we just need the floor to put them on. So we go something like that. Is probably too much space even, but it should be fine. And then we get our blueprint in, and we just shift it around until it lines up. Also, we forgot to set it on auto-connecting mode there, but that's fine, obviously. Alright, then this shifts over to there and gets built. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, now we have to drop down and get all the foundations for this, because currently they are very much floating. Alright. So that's in, and let's get this bit back here as well. And that should be solid. So now we just have to get the splitters in. So we go over here, we fill in this space to put stuff on, and then we have to just take this around into here. Yep, easy enough. Alright, blueprints, 1 to 5 balancer, using default mode. In you go. And then these all go across. That's that. And this comes forwards and goes in there. And finally this one has to reach all the way across and go in there. Alright, now we will upgrade the internal belts here. And that, and that, and that. Alright, now this just goes from here. And we need more space. And we're going to need even more space for the last one. But that goes there. And should now be successfully providing quick wire to all of those. Alright. So one more row, and then we have to set up the rubber, because that's on the bottom floor, which we haven't done yet. Alright, so we just cover over this. And now we get to put it in. Okay, got to rotate correctly. And then get spaced. And in it goes. And then back to blueprint auto connect mode, where we can snap all these guys together until we run out of iron plates again. Because, of course, something in this process, the iron plates are having issues. I don't know why. I don't know why this is going so slowly. Actually, let's just compare. Iron rods are going many times faster than iron plates. And I can't imagine it's that we ran out of storage for iron plates and are just producing them, because like I've been doing a fair amount of like AFKing for like 20 minutes before every stream basically. So that shouldn't be the case. Alright, well, I guess in the meantime, we can get the balancer set up. Although that's also obviously going to require some iron plates. But at least it's something interesting to be doing. There we go. And then we upgrade the internals. Alright, and actually what we can set that off, which will hopefully maybe help a little bit, but probably not. Okay, so then we get this belt coming around here. And it just has to make it all the way over this way. And in there. So obviously that's only going to start this up, because the rest of these aren't even built yet. But we can get this one in as well. Alright, so those two are in. How much is this blueprint? 76 iron plates. So we're going to need another 240-ish, 230-ish iron plates in order to finish this off. So in the meantime, let's expand this foundation on over. And I guess we can drop down to work on connecting these guys up. So they are getting fed from this splitter here. So it'll be easier for them to come in from the side, like this. And unfortunately that's going to also require a fair amount of iron plates. Alright, so then this goes like that-ish. And then those are going to start connecting up. That's that. And yeah, we're going to run out of iron plates just doing this. Much less waiting for the rest of the actual buildings. Down to 14 iron plates. Alright, something is definitely wrong. I'm going to respawn and investigate. So, we're going to take that hypertube out and build it facing that way. Swap over to jetpack. Probably grab a stack of rocket fuel, because we're getting low. And head over this way, because this is where my old factory is, where I started the game, and presumably where I'm still uploading iron plates. I don't think I moved those around at any point. Yeah, here we are. And it is just... I haven't touched this in eons, and that's still a Mark 1 belt. Alright, problem solved. So now this will be going up at an acceptable speed. And we're just going to have to give it a minute. So this is technically 240 a minute, which is 4 times as fast as it was. And yeah, it's getting there real fast. Alright, so now we can respawn again. And by the time we get back to the factory, even though it's very close, we should have enough of a stockpile of iron plates that we won't have to worry about it again. Is it this? No, it's definitely not that. Oh, yeah, duh. It's the gargantuan factory taking up half of the map directly behind me. Alright, so we just have to make it over this way. And then hover into range of this. And we are back. Back and with more iron plates than ever. So we should be able to finish this up quite easily now. Yeah, we're up to the 400s just off of that short time. Alright, so that is number 3, number 4, and number 5. Alright, so those are all in. And we just have to connect up the rest of these belts. So this goes along this way, and in there. And then we're going to need to connect this up. Please. Alright, so that is all speedy. Now this belt comes back here and connects into that. Alright, now we just have to do this last bit from both sides. Oh, not in Zoop mode currently. It gets reset whenever you die, which is mildly annoying. Alright, we need to set this to just default mode, or it's going to try to make its connections and it's going to do dumb stuff. Alright, so let's upgrade these. And that one, there we go. Now we can bring these belts across. And these. Alright, then that goes into that. This goes into that. Now we have to do the last bit of connecting up for these as well. So you go into there. We need at least another row there. So you come across, and you come across. And in. And in. Alright, so now we just need to connect this up to the rubber. So this comes back. And a little bit more. And then it goes into that. Alright, so that is that all sorted. And now we just need to, first of all, connect this across. Because I forgot to have this one on Blueprint Auto Connect mode, although I think I did have it for the others. Yes, so these are all connected across. These first two aren't for some reason, but the rest of these are. Alright, then I need to figure out 25.833 times 15 is 387. So these are just 3 belts. No need for adding additional belts on here. So we're just going to be syncing these. So let's grab some extra space for the sinks. And, oh, I don't know why I went into blueprints there. So you get a sink. And you go up one, over a whole bunch, and then into the sink. And then these ones are going to do the same. Actually, there are already sinks in this area, which is kind of funny. We seem to have just, like, barely juked them by our horizontal placement. I don't know why I keep going to blueprints. There's definitely no need to do that. Alright, so that sink is in. You go up and over and down. And then this one gets a sink. And it doesn't even need to go over anything. I almost went into blueprints again for some reason. And you just go across. Alright, so now we just have to get the power line connections in. So the sinks are all going to connect up to those. And then this row attaches across. And then all of these batches of machines within the row connect across. No, don't do that. That's unnecessary. You two connect. As do you. Now we come back to these guys, get this row all attached up. Alright, and finally this one. So these connections are all in. Like that, and then we can bring these down to something down here for connection. There we go. That's all powered up. Let's actually check on the power grid. It's a bit sketchy. I did pull some rocket fuel out recently. Like, it's got this annoying pattern up here. We've still got plenty of space. That's not a concern. I just really don't like that it's doing this. I'm gonna have to figure out how to resolve that at some point. In the meantime, though, we've got our cable producing. So now we can get all sorts of, I don't know, television or something. Alright, so we have cable. Check. So, we have quick wire, we have cable. The next thing on our list, which I guess isn't really in any specific order, but we may as well do it in the order that it's shown, is going to be circuit boards. And then it's just going to be a question of... So circuit boards go into all of the things that go into the supercomputer. And then we just have to make those, and then the immediate inputs, and we are making good progress. We are almost done. So, the rubber. So we need to get the circuit boards. We need rubber and petroleum coke. Now, petroleum coke is super free. It's just going into the one thing. There are 4 belts of it. We just have to send it up. The rubber is we need to do a bit of load balancing magic for. So first, let's get all of these up to a new floor. And we're going to bring this all the way across to there, because we're going to need to bring the petroleum coke up, and it's somewhere over there. So for our rubber, we have that belt and that belt remaining. This is a full belt, this is some spare. So let's run some foundations over here, and then drop down to figure out where we want these floor holes to go. This one can go right here on that. Like so. And like so. Then this one, we're a bit more cramped, but we can still fit it into there. Like that. And like that. Alright, so now we have these 2 belts of rubber, which we are gonna just send back to be nice and organized. Back to over here for the next floor, which I believe these floors are 3 walls up. So we do that. Take you over, and yeah, that's enough space. So you're going to have to go over this way. And then our rubber can come up there and there. Oh, no, stop it. You come down all the way. And you output across. Alright, so now we have nice, organized 2 belts of rubber. And then we need to grab the petroleum coke, which I think we're going to need to organize. Although actually it might be pre-organized. Let's see if this is made of 4 unique belts. So we drop down here, and we've got 1 connected to each of these rows. Are each of these rows equal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there, 6 there, 6 there, and 6 there. So they are all equal, except maybe... yes. this one is slightly less than the others, which is conveniently this one on the outside. Alright, so this one comes over here. I was really hopeful I wouldn't have to do this sort of thing, but I don't want to do a 4-to-4 balancer if I don't have to, so it's this one, which is slightly less. So now that we know that, I haven't even decided how I'm organizing this, so that might not even matter. So these have to go up through all the floors. And there are a lot of them. So we're just going to get all the floor holes in first. And then one more set. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so now we just have to bring these up one row at a time. 1, 2. Please place properly. There we go. Alright, that's the petroleum coke brought up, and we're going to just deal with the plastic and everything else later. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gosh, there are so many of these. So many floors already got built without me even really realizing it. But we've got the petroleum coke up through all of them now. And then we just have to get the output lifts. Okay, that middle one is going to have to be rebuilt because we do not want it to have that weird little height. Alright, so all of those are in. And now we have our supplies for this. So, these are, I assume, made in assemblers. So let's just get one down so that we can see what the numbers are like. What are we doing? Electrode circuit board. Alright, electrode circuit board is 5 per minute, and we need 356.25. So, that is going to be like this, and I really hope that that checks out. So 56.25 times 8 is, oh, it's 356.25, right? Alright, so yes, that is exact numbers. Very, very good. Alright, so we could do it like this and have literally 100 of them. I don't want to build literally 100 assemblers. That seems terrible. So, let's see, what's the best number we could do? 356.25 divided by 5 is 71.25. So this would be 72. Divided by 72 is 4.94, which is definitely a number we can do. And 72 itself is a pretty convenient number, right? 72 divided by 3, divided by 3, divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. Yes. So, we can make a marginally more efficient blueprint for this. So let's go down here. Let's load this up just to get like the broad stroke structure of it. But what we can do is fit a fourth in. And then make these 1 to 4 splitters, and that'll save us 2 whole rows of splitting, which is pretty convenient. Alright, and then we also have to set the recipes, which are, what am I even making here? Electrode circuit boards, and it's 356.25 divided by 72 is 4.947917. 4.947917. That's obviously going to round. Alright, so that is that. And we just have to paste those settings across. Okay, no, that's actually a typo. It's 4.947917, not 847. Would have been slightly off. And across 72 machines, that would have wound up to being really quite short. Alright, so that is that. Now we get in these 2 splitters, which do all of this, and then we get another splitter, which can just go there and go into those 2. So these are going to be 20 and 40 approximately, which means this would be either 40 or 80. And if it's 80, we want those to be Mark IIs. Because I haven't decided on which one I want to be which input yet. Okay, so now we have to do the same thing down here. Just take all of that out. And pop in another one of those. So then these 2 get splitters, which go directly into the machines in front of them, and then also go across there, and then it gets one of these. Alright, so that is our circuit board blueprint. So this is electrode circuit board. Save and clear. And now we can go up. And so these are batches of 4. So 72 divided by 4. We're going to be placing 18 of these, which I guess we can do in 3 batches of 6. Alright, yeah, that makes sense. So let's start by getting all of this space filled in on this floor. There we go. Okay, so actually the problem is that we are going to have... We have 2 of those instead of a single belt, and 4 of those instead of a single belt. So splitting is going to be more difficult because of that. And these 2 are not equal. I can make them equal pretty easily. Obviously, we just do some splitting and merging. These 4 I can't really make equal. How do I fix that? How do I fix that? Let me just think about this for a moment. So I need to either somehow combine these 4 into effectively 1 and then split it. Alright, so we have this. We have to make 18 even batches out of these 4, which is going to be hard. It's also worth noting one of them is smaller than the others. How to make 18 even batches out of 4. 18 divided by 4 is 4.5. So each of these needs to fill 4.5. Okay, that's not gonna work, I think. And it's not a convenient number. So speed balancing, I mean, I guess we could just set it back to overclocking and do a speed balancing setup. But we are, oh, that's another thing, is we are meant to be speed limiting this so that it works out with the other rubber usage. So that's something we have to keep in mind as well. But we can do all that on this floor. Got space for it. Alright, so these two are easy, right? Because we can have each of these split into 3 and then 3 and then it works. These 4 though are not so easy. So if we were to somehow combine the 2 of these, if we were to make a 2 to 3 splitter, that's what we would need. A 2 to 3 splitter would solve it. So let's see if such a thing can even be made. So, I mean, the naive approach would be something like this, and then you would go 1, 2, 3. The problem is that this would be twice as big. Okay, hold on, I might be cooking here. So this is off center and that's gonna bug me. That's gonna bug me a lot. So let's take all of that out and rebuild it more spaciously. So we have something like this. And then they go, and then they all go forwards. So the problem is, we have one here, one here. So this is half-half, this is half-half. So this is 1, these are each a half. So what we need to do is get these to all be 0.33. Alright, so if we take this and split it into thirds. Okay, now technically we need to get all these into 0.66. So if they're 0.5, they need to get 0.1666 repeating, which is, what is that, a sixth? So I need to, oh, I know how to do this. I think this will work. So we have to split you and you're going to split into thirds. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. I should probably be doing this in a blueprint designer so that if I figure it out, I can just have it saved, but it'll be fine. So, these are now each a third. So, what I do now is I split those two off like this. So that... Okay, then we need to get more mergers there and there. And apparently I've given precisely the correct amount of spacing here for all this. Alright, so we have 1 and 1. We have a half and a half. We have a half and a half. So this is 1, which means each of these is a third, which means each of these is a sixth, and a half plus a sixth is 4 sixths. And then this is a third plus a sixth, which is 4 sixths. Alright, so yeah, this works. And we can just do this twice. Let's blueprint this. It'll be fine. So in order to get the spacing right, it's 1 in the center of each box. Alright. So we get U and U and U. Then we get this one splits and then merges. Trying to make this compact, of course. So then we get a splitter there, merger there, splitter there, merger there. So that goes there and there, that goes there. This goes there, there, and there. And that goes across to those two, and that goes across to those two. Then those two come up, and we have 3 belts coming out. Alright, now we want to make this using fast belts so that we don't have to worry about it, and I think at no point is greater than 1 on a belt. So I think this will work even up to max capacity. Cool. Neat. Alright, so this is 2 to 3 splitter. Save that. Clear it. And this only works if the 2 are equal, which is fine. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so now we just go over here. We take this out. Because this is not needed. This was just theory crafting. So you go away. And then all this goes in. Alright, just a bit more dismantling. It is somewhat time consuming sometimes. Get rid of all the tiny little bits and bobs. But we're just about done. There we go. Alright, so we need 2 of these to output the correct number. So then we will have 6 belts of this which won't be balanced with each other. Shoot, that's the issue. Alright, so we are going to need to... We're going to need to come down here and balance these on this floor, and then just send them back in. Did I ever make a 4-to-4 balancer design? If I did, I never saved it. Alright. I believe that's one of those like nightmarishly complicated things which I had to do at one point. Alright, so we have... how do we make this work? How do we make this work? Okay, I think the easiest way of making this work is... I believe the production was never balanced right, because this was fluids going in. Yeah, so if that's fluids going in, then what I can do is I can simply spread this around. So you are producing 90. So we have to produce a total of 30 fewer than the maximum, which means 30 divided by 4, you need to take 7.5 off of each one. So each of these is going to be 112.5. And we copy paste those settings across to all of these guys. And hope that this doesn't throw off some delicate balancing somewhere that I was doing. But I don't think it will. And now we should have even belts of 120, 240, 360, 480, 600, 712.5? Sure, let's go with that. Let's go with that. And we're going to have to stop back down there again to make sure that, I don't know, maybe the output was being constricted in some specific way, but it should be fine. So now that we have 4 even belts instead of uneven belts, we have to get in 2 of these splitters. So let's get those in. They're quite wide, but narrow. Alright, so we get one of those, and just 2 of them as compact in as we can. And then these all go into the inputs. Alright, why are you like this? Did I not put in a Mark V belt in here? I did not. Wonderful. Alright, so now that's all sorted. So I have 6 belts there, and what am I doing? Splitting these into 18. So each of these goes into a batch of 3. So yeah, each of these 6 belts, which let's drag them forward so that I can see them and not get confused. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's not the right one. 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so we have 6 belts here, which we need to get into 18 by dividing them all by 3. Which would imply... Let's see here. If each of these... If we were to do 3 rows of 6 for this, then each row would get 2 of these which is perfectly fine. And if we were to get 3 rows of 6 for this, then these two would need to divide into... Well, actually, we could just divide these into 3 and send 1 to each row, now that we have this convenient 2 to 3 balancer. That works out quite easily. Alright, so then that goes in, and boom. Alright. So that is that. And we could technically make these into what? How many of this would there be? 3? I actually don't think they would fit. No, they definitely wouldn't fit on 3 belts. So yeah, we're doing it this way. So then you get an output, you get an output, and you get an output. And this is the inputs to our circuit board factory. So now we just need to set up the production lines. And it's going to be slightly different, but not hugely, because it's not going to be 1 to 5 balancers feeding into them. It'll be... This will have 1 to 6s, and this will have 1 to 3s, but obviously more of them. So it should be more compact, I think. So we get this. We can pop it in. Just put it there. Yeah, let's put that there. And then I guess just keep placing them. We're going to need a row of 6 this time, whereas we've previously been doing rows of 5, but it's hardly much of a difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we might steamroll over these sinks. 6. Yeah, so we're steamrolling over these sinks a little bit, but that's fine. We actually managed to mostly juke them, except for the antenna, which I don't really care about. So there. And then we're going to need to expand the foundations out to cover this. Like that. And like that. And one more. Actually, no, we don't want this row to exist because there's the sink there. Alright, and then this has to expand out just like another 2. Alright. So that is this. And so these are much more numerous, so it's going to be more annoying to send them up a floor, so we're going to have these be the lower floor. Alright, so now we need to do the rest of this splitting. So there are 6 of these, so we need to do a 1 to 3. Alright, so that covers all that space. And you get a splitter. And we're going to connect it up as we place it. And that will cover those 3. And then you get a splitter. There. I think, no, one back, I guess. We want them to be all aligned. And that covers these 3. And now we just take 2 of these and we bring them in. So you go over this way and in there. You go over this way and in there. I just got a bit too close there. That's fine though. Alright, and that is row 1. Okay, the other thing we need to do is we need to drop down and speed limit the rubber. So how much... Did I have noted how I was doing this? Rubber is 3 times 480 minus 15. Alright. I remember this now. Alright, so... we are going to disconnect these. And... let's see, maybe just face them the other way to give us more space to work around. Alright, so we have those. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make 3 full belts of 480. 480 times 3 is 1440. We do have the total rubber for that. So we start with... okay, how we do this is just a 2 to 3 splitter like we just made, right? Because we have 2 belts, we're trying to make 3. Now, will this make even belts is the question. It probably won't. So let's see here. But if we're only trying to get belts of 480 out of it, it might be fine. Because theoretically, back here we have, this is 780 for sure. And this is going to be at most 780. 780 times 2 is 1560. 480 times 3 is 1440. So yes, theoretically, these 2 belts... well, yeah, so we have more than 1560 rubber total. And we're prioritizing this one to be full, and then we're sort of in a roundabout way prioritizing this one to be full because this is center overflow right any. Oh, do we need this to be a priority merger? I think we might. I think we might need that to be a priority merger. Not that it really makes a big difference. But anyways, this is basically guaranteed to be 780. Which means... well, it's going to be less than 780 because of how it works. But it could theoretically be 780 if we weren't limiting it here, is what I'm trying to say. So you go in there. You go in there. Let's upgrade this stupid little internal belt that I forgot about. And now, out of this, instead of 3 perfectly even belts, we're going to take 1, 2, 3 belts of 480. Then we take 1, we pop a splitter. So this has to be a smart splitter. And it... gosh, do we have space for this? Yeah, we should have space for this. Barely. We might have to work around those. But that should be fine. We also need to make sure that this back row we don't mess with, because there are going to be other lifts for plastic coming up through here. That's an important thing to keep note of. Alright, anyways. This is a belt of 480. Coming out of it is going to be a belt of 60, which actually we have a priority merger there. So we have a belt of 60, and it needs to output to a 1-to-4 splitter. So just like this. And then we need to get 15 out of this. Which means actually one of these doesn't need to be there. So you just go back. And you go back. So now you come out and you're going to be 15 a minute. So with 15 a minute going that way, means that we have, if we can just cycle this back into something useful, which, let's bring you around this way and send you back. Do we send you back to here? Yes, I believe we send you back to there. And you are going to have to be a priority merger with priority left, so that that 15 is always dealt with. So we have 480 coming out there. 15 of it goes there, which means that 465 comes out this way. And now we just need to make our 2 final output belts. So that will be taking this splitter, which we have designated as our output, and getting another splitter off of it, which, yeah, the space is definitely becoming a constraint here. So then we have that, and this goes forwards. But actually, instead of going directly forwards, I think we use vertical space here. So you can go up, you're an output. Then this goes into there, merges up with you. Let's also get that in. And then you can also come up. So now we have this. And these can go along the ceiling a little bit. And then drop down into those where they will go back up. So, to recap, we have this, which should output 3 full belts of 480. Then we split one of these down to 465. using this system. Then we send the remaining into each of these, and that's less than 780, so it'll all fit, assuming I've remembered to make these Mark Vs, which I have. So then we have two equal belts of 465 divided by 2 plus 480 of 712.5, which go up here into this system. Alright. And that should be all speed limited because we can only have... Yeah, so that should be all good. And it should also retroactively fix the thing below us once this is all attached up. Okay. That was a complicated step, but we got there. So now we bring the rubber up one more floor. And up you go. So you get something there. And gotta turn the flashlight on for this. I think will make it a lot easier. Alright, then we bring those down. And these can all go up to this floor. Now, we have these, and they are going to go over that way, out this way, and out this way. And now we have to connect all of this stuff up, which is just a 1 to 6. So we get a splitter there, which handles all of these guys, and another one over here. Alright, so then you go in here. And across you go. Okay, now this one has to come back. And not go up. That would be very silly of it. And there, and then we just get a splitter in there, which connects that guy up to those. Alright, and that is rubber. So now we just need to make 2 more of these rows, which should be pretty straightforwards. And we're going to leave our space for them. And then build out all of this. Something like that. And then this needs to go over one more zoop. So over we go. And that should be almost long enough. It's not actually going to be long enough, but we're just going to have to head over and fill in the last bit when we're there. Alright, so electrode circuit boards. They line up like so, and we just get them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so now we drop down here and get the foundation in for all of these guys. And all of these guys. We are running a little bit low on concrete. which is fine. Probably. Concrete fills up very quickly, and I believe it's still functional, so it should be okay. And then we're just going to get the last row in now while we're here. So this comes out to like there. And yeah, power connection over here is very, very sketch. Can you become a better power pole so that we can bring you... That's actually a terrible spot for it. We're immediately going to be writing over that with foundations. So you are here, and hopefully that'll keep us covered for power while we're out here. Alright, so now we get that in, and in goes the blueprint. So it lines up like that, and we pop it in. That's 1, 2, 3. Alright, now we're missing reinforced iron plates, which are probably also in the situation of not having fast enough loading because it's been ages since I last messed with them. So we're going to return back to just working with filling all this stuff in, and the reinforced iron plates will trickle in. That should be fine pretty soon. Alright, so these all get 1 to 3s. And that is going to cover all the way over here. And those 3. Then we have to fly all the way over to the other side of the planet to get these 3 connected in. And so you get a splitter, and out, in, and out. Alright, so now we just have to take this, run it back this way, and connect it up. So that gets a splitter there, and it all connects like that. Now this comes back, and we just have to connect it up to a belt, which I guess will be this one, so that it isn't in the way for the other ones. And in you go. Alright, now, how is our reinforced iron plates doing? We're up to 130 some. That might not be enough, honestly. So we're going to just continue setting up this second row, which needs these ones to get split in. And it's pretty simple. Again, we just have 1 to 3. And Mark 5 belts all the way across the board, because it's easier than figuring out what speed I could actually use. And I have no shortage of all-clad sheets. Alright, you go in there. And you go in there. Alright, now we need to get the petroleum coke over there. And we have 2 belts here. And I think it's going to be easiest to bring these, like, internal 2 belts over, although we want you to do straight mode so that we have space here. And then while we're getting all these lined up, may as well do all of them at once. Alright, so these all go forwards. And then that is the last one. Alright, so these are now all facing this way. Now we take these two and we bring them around here. 1 and 2. And now we just have to bring them into these. Alright, so then you go into there, and you just continue along, and eventually go into there. Alright, petroleum coke supplied. So now we just have to hopefully have our reinforced iron plates. Yes, we're up to a good couple hundred of them. And let's pre-select take from inventory before depot, because the inventory is getting a little bit messy. Alright, so how many of these do we have? We have 3 in. And we just need 4 and 5 and 6. Alright. Should be good. Now we just have to combine all of these up. And that's just going to involve some splitters. So you get a splitter. And okay, default mode is required because I packed them in pretty tightly. Then we have to head over this way, bring some foundations with us because we're going to need them in the near future. And you get a splitter. So you go there, and in there, and out there. Alright, now this just comes back, and we will have our belts to go there, and then those all combine up, and this belt comes out this way. And then comes around this way, and we can just put this into the last rubber output. So there you go. Alright, finally we have to get the petroleum coke set up for that row. And that is going to involve a whole lot of foundations, because I never even got these in. So let's use up all the concrete that we have. Build a whole bunch of foundations. Alright, so now that lines up, we can fill in some of this extra space that we're going to need. Like that. Alright, so this gets a splitter, which goes out to all of the various locations, and then it has a belt which comes back. Alright, now this has a splitter, which goes into all the various locations. 1, 2, and 3. And now both of these belts come back. Alright, so these go all the way over this way. And then they go around the corner. Like so. And we're going to be using straight mode for this, because that will keep these organized better. And then we go around this corner and in there. Then we are going to need that to be foundations. This comes around the corner. And down we go. Alright. So they all snap in, and that should be petroleum coke provided to everywhere that needs it. Alright, so that's that. Just gonna power these on, and okay, so for the sinks for this, we're only making 356.25, which means we only need a single sink to cover this entire row. So let's start with wiring up while we hover around. Alright, so this goes down the line. And then across the front. And then while we're here on this side, we are going to need to combine all these guys up, which I think will bring them over this way, because this is where this sort of part of the factory where we tend to be bringing resources up to the next floor. So we just do that, and then we get a merger there. And then these all go around in there and forwards. In another merger. And forwards, and then yeah, somewhere around here we are going to put in our sink, which needs more foundation because they're weirdly large and also off-centered for some reason. Alright, so that's that. Now we connected up the back row. We haven't connected up the middle or front row. Okay, I really need to stop doing that. Just placing new power poles instead of connecting up the one that we have. What happens when you're trying to go fast? You end up slowing yourself down. Alright, so now we connect the front row up. And then we're just going to have to get all this in, hook up the sink, and drop this down to the power line of a previous floor. Like you. And okay, we somehow missed one in the blueprint. That's annoying. So we're gonna have to go through and get all of these. Shouldn't really be difficult, but it is certainly annoying. And it is going to be marginally slowing down the rate at which this all gets set up properly. But that's fine. So that all goes in. And just this last row and we should have circuit boards. I'm seeing a lot of green, so we definitely are going to have some circuit boards at least. Alright, circuit board production in progress. Don't know if the rubber is being distributed properly, don't know if the petroleum coke is, but at least we have it producing. We have circuit boards coming out. And let's actually just get a throughput monitor on you. So we can see it should be 356. And it might take a little while for it to warm up to that because of the machines which were off to begin with. Okay, it's hard to say, but I mean, I'm not seeing any yellow. 4.94 times 18, well, times 4 times 18 is 355.68. It's not actually 4.94, it's like 4.948. Yeah, so hopefully that's correct. And this is just being a bit slow to warm up. Okay, it just showed throughput rate. It doesn't look like it's quite right. So something's gone wrong here, but I don't know what it is. And in the meantime, it is just about time to be wrapping up the stream. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun, made a ton of progress today. Like, we started with this. Like, this down here was all we had. We have made quick wire, we've made cable, we have made circuit boards, and that is a lot of progress. There's still plenty to go. So what's left? We have the high-speed connectors, the AI limiters, and the computers, and then we just have to put those three things together with some plastic and make our supercomputers. So yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, alternating between Satisfactory on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Factorio on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you're interested in Factorio, make sure to stop by tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll be back in Satisfactory on Wednesday, where we will probably not be finishing this up, but probably be getting very close to it. And so yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. See you guys next time. Bye.